Hello, 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 hello. It is the Solid Signal Podcast, and the week is August 19th, 2019. I hope everybody had a great weekend and is either at the beginning of a great week or in the middle of a great week. I want to tell you myself about an experience I had this weekend, and it's kind of funny because this is exactly what I had been talking about for years at Solid Signal blog, and I had an opportunity to sort of live my truth, even though that sounds kind of hackneyed. But yeah, actually it happened to me, and I thought that I would share the experience with you. Over the weekend, I found myself in a jewelry store. Now, I don't find myself in jewelry stores very often, but in this particular case, I did. And this, by the way, was not your kind of, shopping mall, Zales kind of jewelry store. This was a little bit higher end than that. This was the sort of place that, you come in, they have to buzz you in, and they offer you food, and they sit you down, and they expect you to stay for a while because they think you're going to buy a very expensive piece of jewelry. I happen to not be there to buy a very expensive piece of jewelry, but that's another whole issue. I just didn't want rampant speculation to go on in the Solid Signal community about why I was in there. Anyway, not the point. The point was, even though they were doing everything they possibly could to be hospitable, there was zero cell service inside this jewelry store, zero internet. They had no free Wi-Fi. It was just no service. And so I asked, well, do people complain about this? Do people say, oh, I can't do whatever? And they said, well, sometimes, yeah, people have to go out. They go outside because they just get twitchy and they need to check their social media, or they need to make sure that their text messages aren't piling up or whatever. And I said, well, okay, first of all, why is it so bad in here? I was told, and this actually kind of makes sense. This is a very high-end jewelry store, and they've actually put steel plates behind the drywall to make it harder for people to break in. And the steel plates effectively kill all of the cell signal, and that doesn't come as any surprise to me because that's exactly what steel plates would do. And yet, it never occurred to these folks to somehow, in some way, have some opportunity for their customers to continue to communicate. They don't offer free Wi-Fi, as I said, and they don't have a cellular signal booster. And I was talking to the owner of the jewelry store about both of these things and how it is a very simple upgrade. Yeah, they could add free Wi-Fi anytime they wanted to, and then they would just have to tell people what it is, and then if you really wanted to, you got on the Wi-Fi. And that sounded good, but even more hospitable, in my opinion, would be to add a good cellular signal booster. Not that expensive, and it wouldn't really require any security changes or anything like that, because after all, electricity comes in, wiring comes in. All they would need to do would be to get one more coaxial cable to come in. Put a cell booster on the roof, put a couple of indoor antennas in this fairly large jewelry store, and bingo. Not only great cell service for customers, but also, keep in mind that none of the employees can get cell service either. And so their landline rings off the hook. I could hear it because none of the employees could get access to their own phones at that point, which is kind of ridiculous in 2019 if you think about it. So while I was doing some other things in this jewelry store, I sat down with the owner and I said, let's take a look at, the size of your building and how much cell service you want to provide, and let's come up with a cell booster solution that makes sense for you. And I came up with something that cost well under $1,000, so that would allow this particular store to offer cell service throughout the showroom area. And the installation was something that could be done by the regular computer person. Honestly, this was a win-win. I ended up with a very happy jewelry store owner, and let me tell you, that's something that you always want on your side because you never know when you're going to need it. And on the other hand, I sold a cell booster for Solid Signal. I don't often go out on my weekends and try to sell equipment from Solid Signal, but maybe I should, and maybe you should too. This is the kind of thing that if you're listening to this podcast, you're a fairly advanced person, you're a high-tech person already who probably knows an awful lot. And yet, you probably go places that I do as well and find that, oh, well, okay, there's bad cell service, there's no free Wi-Fi, or you're in a waiting room and there's no television, there's no way to entertain yourself. And you could be out there being an ambassador for this kind of technology. And realistically, why aren't you? Why aren't you? Let's talk about it for a little while, because you could be sending people to solidsignal.com, doing some good in the community. Oh, no, I can't say that I'll offer you any sort of commission or anything like that. Some people will only do that sort of thing when there is a commission involved, and I'm sorry, I'm not able to do that. I genuinely am sorry, but think about the good that you can be doing for the stores that you visit and the community that you're in, and just kind of making things better, which, as far as I'm concerned, is its own reward. And I think that it really just kind of makes for a more desirable experience for everybody. You could be telling your doctor, you could be telling your dentist, you'd be telling the folks where you buy your tires, and you could be telling even big companies. I'm going to call out Sam's Club for a minute, because the local Sam's Club where I shop has this app where you can scan the stuff right in your cart and then check out, at least theoretically. But their free Wi-Fi is so bad, and there's almost no cell service in the building, so people can't really use this app, and they end up going to the checkout counters, which costs the company tons and tons of money. And I've tried to explain to them how they could actually be saving money by spending a little bit of money on a decent cell booster system for this very large facility. No cell booster system for 100,000 square feet is not going to cost just $200 or $300. It's going to be more expensive than that, and it's going to require professional installation. But once it's in, it's easy to monitor. They hardly ever go down, and the business would benefit. I only wish that the folks over there would listen. Anyway, that's kind of what I do, and that's kind of what I want to do more of, and I hope that you do the same. I hope that you consider becoming an ambassador for the kind of high-tech lifestyle that you want to live. Wherever you go, if you're not getting the connectivity that you need, send people to solidsignal.com and tell them that we can take care of whatever they need and help them get more and more customers. And really, that's the bottom line. Anyway, thanks for listening for this week. That's about it for the Solid Signal podcast, and I'll talk to you again soon.